car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Well, blistering heat remains the headline again on this Wednesday as we're going through what is just a hot week. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon, and you're watching Mississippi Live Weather at 6. Thank you so much for joining us here in the Room to Room Weather Center as we are all kind of getting through this week together. The good news is we do have some cooler temperatures ahead. The bad news is we're just not quite there quite yet. Unfortunately, outside in West Point, 96, the temperature feels like 108 at 6 p.m. It's just a reminder that these high heat indices at dangerous levels are going to linger even into the evenings. The extreme heat, though, is beginning the process of retreating. Our overall strong ridge of high pressure is starting the process of breaking down just a little bit. Maybe that's overstating it, but it's kind of splitting. We'll look into how that happens and why that's allowing some of our rain chances to increase coming up. And those rain chances are still spotty at this point. There are actually some severe thunderstorms down in South Mississippi into Louisiana, quite a few of those because that split of this ridge is a little stronger farther south. We're looking at milder temperatures for the weekend. I say milder, cooler, might be overstating it just a little bit. We're still going to be hot. It's still, working our way into August, so we should be expecting that, but not as blistering hot. And any improvement this time of year is something we got to hold on to, and it definitely is improving to a certain extent there. As we look outside those alerts, again, this remains the weather story. Current alerts, we're looking at extreme heat warnings for pretty much all our locations on the Mississippi side, from Coahoma back to Sunflower and Humphreys, Webster, Clay, Lowndes County. In all cases there, we're looking at those in effect, as you can see, until tomorrow at 8 p.m. We do anticipate that we're going to probably still have some heat that's significant into Friday, but that starts to retreat as a front moves into and through the area. Look at the latest here on Mississippi Live Weather Radar as of 6:01 p.m. We're mainly dry. As I put this into motion here, show you our loop. The green you see are clear air returns here, largely bugs and things like that. But we do have a couple of isolated storms that have developed down here in Montgomery County, closer to Wynodona. These kind of developing back toward the south and west. Now you look here on our lightning strikes. That doesn't move, so no lightning out of that. That's not to say we can have a couple of those strikes try to form out of this, but more often than not, that's not the case. Now this kind of making its way there toward the south and east, closer to Adair eventually. We're looking Koala there at about 6:21, Blackhawk at 6:34, Arcona at 6:42 and 6:45 for the Adair community. So clear that off. We'll come back wider here on Mississippi Live Weather Radar, and you'll notice a few of these also trying to pop up close there south of the Louisville area. Again, fairly small, as is one there in Choctaw County. In both cases there, not much lightning, though I do have a couple of strikes, about 4 strikes, again, not many strikes, down there southwest of Louisville, moving generally toward Carthage. Speed on these, I'm probably overestimating. This is a 1 hour loop here. Well, let's just double check the speed. How about that? So over the last hour, moving about 14 miles per hour. So clear that off. Not a lot of spots. We're going to pull up here at 14 miles per hour. Ahead of that, right about there. We'll go in about 20. So Remus about 6:11 there. Costa there about 6:26. Pearl Hill 6:34. Midway 6:33. And eventually closer to Sunrise by about 6:39. Toward the Alabama state line, we do have a couple of these boundaries you see here. And if you look really closely at this, I'm going to go to the blue because that probably does best job. This represents some rain cool air there. These different different boundaries when they collide, kind of like what happened last night with some of the storms near the Alabama state line. If you can get those collide in just the right spot, they produce a few thunderstorms. So we had one little storm there south of Columbus, and one of these boundaries coming in from the west. That means this zone here in between, stretching from near Splunge back there and closer to Aliceville. A couple of isolated storms possible. Columbus, not impossible to see that, but I think that's still more the exception to the rule. The vast majority of us are dry. That's why we're at most 20% on that rain coverage at 7 p.m. Still 92, feeling like 102 at that point. And that's the issue. It's 82, still feeling like 92 at 10 o'clock, and that means much of your evening still honestly a little too hot to go out and enjoy, and maybe even dangerously hot to a certain extent out there. Most of those rain chances done by 10 or dryers. Look toward 1 o'clock in the morning, 77 by 4 a.m., and then probably mid-70s to begin tomorrow. On the wider shot, you can see some of those stronger thunderstorms down there into Louisiana, South Mississippi, all those kind of sliding away. As we change this back over here, we show our satellite perspective, and what we're going to look at on the satellite here, on our color satellite perspective, is the big blow up of thunderstorms you have there, but also our overall pattern. See, we have this spin you have out to the east there. That is where we have this, our high pressure center, our overall ridge that direction. But we also have one back out here toward Texas. And so we are kind of in the middle here in this sort of no man's land, except it's not, because as those two split, more thunderstorms are developing. So that's why those thunderstorm chances have increased a bit more as we've gone through today and into tonight. So the thinking is we'll continue to have some of those, especially for locations down to the south of us. Let me zoom this in here a little bit closer for a moment. Our front back to the north and west is moving toward us at kind of a glacial pace. It's going to take the rest of the week for it to really get in here, have any kind of impact. And so in the nearer term, as you can see here, we keep most of the overnight hours fairly dry, with temperatures likely for tomorrow morning to be somewhere in the neighborhood of the mid-70s. That's a fairly warm beginning to the day. But that front does start progressing a little closer to us, a little bit more an impact as far as that's concerned by the weekend, and that's where that drop in temperatures begin. So over the next 24 hours, we're looking at 76 about 6 a.m. tomorrow. As cool as we get, we're 84, feeling like 94 at 9 a.m., 94 noon, 96 afternoon. Sound familiar? Another hot day, though there are hopefully a greater quantity of storms, and that's where the hope comes in for tomorrow, that perhaps some of these knocks the temperature back for a few locations. Not everybody, not yet. And while we do need rainfall, new drought monitor will come out tomorrow, and we do have some locations that have been added to that level 1 drought. It's probably going to expand for a few locations. We will look at some of the rainfall totals going forward here in a few minutes as well. That's one of the many things we're looking up here in about 60 seconds as Mississippi Live Weather continues. Those rain chances, how much you could see, and in particular where you can see that. We're also looking at some of your Weather Watcher pictures. Come up here in 60 seconds as Mississippi Live Weather at 6 continues next.
Your family deserves the most beautiful smile possible. At Tupelo Smiles, we use precision dentistry and advanced technology to make visiting the dentist an amazing experience. Relationship-based comprehensive care. Come discover the difference at Tupelo Smiles.
I was made for this. Crawling through the muck to find where the real problems hide.
All this dampness, it's perfect for mold, and that can mean headaches, rashes, even chronic illness for your family.
That's why we offer our Healthy Home 7-point mold inspection, to restore your health by restoring your home.
Focusing on water and mold control from the crawl space to the roof, you can call Absolute Restoration, your local and trusted restoration contractor.
1 in 10 kids vape. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes.
The Health Class Film Guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynard.
Welcome back into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. What we're taking a look at here are Weather Watcher pictures submitted during last night's sunset. And we're showing this for a purpose because we want you guys to send in pictures for this evening. Show us updated looks at those sunsets and those few isolated showers. Even getting a visual on those help us so much here, getting an eye in the sky for what we're seeing on radar. Tracking those showers out, primarily going to be that Lowndes-Pickens County line. And that's where these storms were happening yesterday. This is a look out of Guntown. Big thank you to DC, our weather watcher there in Guntown, submitting this picture. This was of that isolated severe storm that happened there on the east side of Monroe County. towering tops. And that's what we're getting with a lot of these storms. If they hit the right boundary and those updrafts really just obey how they should, that's where we get those towering storm tops and some of those stronger thunderstorms. We even got a look at that down there towards Starkville. This was a beautiful shot of the sunset. Those stratocumulus clouds, that's what we were seeing kind of blanketing the sky. But just on the other side of town, getting a shot of those strong thunderstorms. So even tonight, some thunderstorms still in play, not an overly abundant magnitude of those, but still at least getting a couple into the rest of our forecast overnight. So while it's isolated, yes, we do still have a little bit of that coverage. And as Matt was saying, those boundaries are what we're watching, especially down there towards the Pickens County line, there towards Lowndes and Noxubee County, that same general area where that strong thunderstorm was produced late last night. Definitely possible to see another one of those form into those overnight hours. A more significant cell starting to form there towards Highway 82 and I-55. You can see it kind of building in strength over the last few scans. So we are paying attention to that heading further into Carroll County and then on into Holmes County as we head into the 6:30, 7 o'clock hour. So paying attention to that one. But overall, that's the coverage that we have here in North Mississippi. So that drier forecast, I mean, it's made way for those hot temperatures to really start to pick up. Tracking surface analysis, our saving grace with those hot temperatures and the much needed rainfall will be this frontal boundary out there towards the Midwest right now. Now with this frontal boundary, it has produced quite an active system over there in parts of the Midwest. Still today, a level 1 risk in place for severe weather, far away from North Mississippi, but definitely producing a few of those isolated severe storms. I do want to say with the severe weather risk, don't let this dictate where the severe weather can happen, because we do have an active pattern even all the way in South Mississippi and parts of Louisiana, and there's not a risk down there. So the potential for a brief isolated severe storm is definitely possible along that shear axis, along that weakness. And that's one thing our Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon will be breaking down here in just a moment, is what to expect with a lot of that boundary that we're watching. So into Thursday, severe weather risk still primarily going to be out there towards Colorado and Wyoming, and then out here, along the Virginia, West Virginia area, so not North Mississippi, not expecting severe weather with this threat. It should be a calm pattern with plenty of good associated with it, and good being the needed rainfall and good being the needed cooler temperatures. So day planner, yes, it will still be above average for tonight, but this is the last kind of 24 to 36 hours that we'll see of those above average conditions before they really start to cool off into the weekend. 20% coverage, that's the peak coverage this evening, so not expecting anything too major in regards to rainfall, but definitely the chance that a brief heavy downpour definitely sticking around. 7 p.m. you can see how sporadic that development is, but we're really paying attention to this quadrant of North Mississippi right now for the potential for more isolated storm activity to take place. That's because a large batch of that moisture out there towards Birmingham moving east-southeast, that's where or should I say west-southwest, moving more into Pickens and Noxubee County here in North Mississippi and northwest Alabama. Overnight, all of those chances dissolve away, and we'll be staying dry and calm into the overnight forecast. So for your Thursday morning, if you're starting school, shout out Miss Maynard. I know she'll be bright and early on that forecast. She'll be enjoying a dry commute, as will the rest of North Mississippi. Plenty of cloud cover blanketing those temperatures, so that's why we're starting still above average, mid to upper 70s. We just don't really see that cooling happening when we have that blanketed cloud cover in the sky. So as we head through the day, this is basically setting the scene for another above average day when it comes to those temperatures. Mid-morning, that moisture primarily sticking around there towards Alabama, but some of those isolated showers start to trickle into North Mississippi by 10, 11 a.m., but really picking up and becoming more numerous towards our Thursday afternoon. That's a result of that frontal boundary, and you see that cold front moving into Memphis by the time we reach that 2, 3 o'clock hour. Now, isolated storms out ahead of that frontal boundary will definitely be possible, but the main chance for moisture will be right along that front. And so we're paying attention to that towards 3, 4, 5 o'clock. Perfect timing for Mississippi Live Weather at 5. All the more reason to tune in, because we'll be tracking the latest on those rain chances and the latest on the cooler temperatures. By 5:30, those chances really become widespread, and we're seeing heightened chances anywhere from 40, 50, even possibly 60% coverage for our Thursday afternoon. So definitely a time to have that rain gear ready, because that front, as it progresses on through, will be providing a much needed rainfall forecast. Here's a look at some of those outputs, and while it's minimal, it is still going to be covering a large area all across North Mississippi. This is a regional outlook of that front. It's going to be anywhere from 1/100 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch as that front progresses on through. It's just a matter of where the heaviest sections set up. So some folks will be more fortunate than others, but that updated look at the drought monitor will show exactly who needs it. That futurecast continues to extend in that southeast direction, and there you see some more isolated chances picking up on the backside of that front. Now this will be Thursday night, and once that front I say clears is a relative term because it really doesn't move once it reaches south of our viewing area. It kind of remains stationary along that front. So that'll continue to supply a good bit of moisture back there into North Mississippi. So that's why we have even more chances into our Friday afternoon. Isolated at first, becoming a bit more widespread as the day goes on because where that front's placed, that's enough of a lifting mechanism for that moisture to interact and those storms to be taking place. The one thing I will say that models are forecasting is this large batch of moisture out there towards Arkansas, transitioning more into the Mississippi River and on into western sections of Mississippi. Now, this is a little bit of a stretch when it comes to our rain chances because this is the only model that's really picking up on that rain mass. So not expecting that to be in the forecast overnight, but if it were to be produced, and we'll be tracking that heading into Mississippi Live Weather at 10 and at 5 and 6 tomorrow evening. That's where we're watching the chance at a few of those showers trickling into the southwest portion of our viewing area. So that'll be for your Friday night into Saturday morning. Forecasted rainfall primarily has it on the southeast side of our viewing area just because that front will have already cleared and that's where that lifting mechanism will take place. And really, you can see where the large batch of moisture is happening. It's out there towards the Carolinas and Georgia with over an inch in some parts. So wish we could get some of that, but we'll take what we can get at this point. And then Saturday and Sunday still showing a little bit of that saturated forecast as that front lingers around, but that's going to be anywhere from 20 to 30% coverage, so not overly high on those. And here you can see, all week long is heading into the work week. Those chances will linger, but not anything too overly high. Our best chances come Thursday and your Friday. So have that rain gear ready and enjoy the temperatures that come beyond that front. That cold front clearing behind it. We'll be seeing 90 on Friday and upper 80s towards Saturday and Sunday. But the main thing that we're watching is those isolated chances that we're experiencing tonight, tomorrow, and also those hot temperatures. And that's one of the things our Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lopon, will be walking us through here in just a moment is why we're experiencing the hot temperatures and why we also have those rain chances stick around. We're not under that typical heat dome where it's that dry, hot forecast. So we'll be walking through that here in the next 60 seconds in more detail, as well as what to expect heading into the rest of our weekend. We'll see you right back here on Mississippi Live Weather at 6 here in just a minute.
At Room to Room, did you know our specialty is custom ordered upholstery? Get the furniture you want and the fabric and color selection you want. With our free design service, we won't let you make a mistake.
Here is your opportunity to add 2 beautiful guns to your collection and support scouting. Scan the QR code to purchase your chance to win a Browning Citori 725 Sporting Maple over and under 12 gauge shotgun or a 75th anniversary Boy Scout commemorative Winchester Model 9422 rifle. Support the Natchez Trace Council Scouts with your raffle entries today.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
So we're looking here right now at a hot evening in the Oxford area. A lot of locations where it's pretty steamy again at this time here. Appreciate all the folks for tuning in. I saw someone mentioning in the comments a moment ago, they're like, oh, a whole 100th of an inch of rainfall. When we show you those projections, those largely come from the Weather Prediction Center, and they tend to underdo it. When we talk about thunderstorms in small areas, you get much heavier rainfall amounts than that. It's just on a widespread scale. You start promising that, and people don't get that, they get a little upset about that. So that's part of the reason why, again, we're looking at the limited amounts there. 100 plus that heat index there in the Oxford area. We're looking right now near the Edinburgh area, and I'm going to check radar here in just a moment because this is where near one of those thunderstorms that's out there. We're 106 for that heat index at this point in Edinburgh, I should say. And then Rolling Fork coming in at 104. Some bubbling there, but just nothing terribly high, just mainly high and cirrus clouds showing up on that shot there. I'm going to go back to analysis mode here on Mississippi Live Weather Radar. You can see a couple of those storms that have kind of popped up in the last little bit, and then we're looking at a few of these down here. That one we were looking at, that Edinburgh camera, kind of close-ish to that one there. So that might have been kind of what we were looking at, that shield of cloud cover, but not really knocking back the temperatures. Nothing overly strong, though we do have a couple of these that we're watching closer to the Ware community in Ackerman. This sliding south and westward speed on this showers, as is the case with all these, only about 15 to 20 miles per hour. So that one, Ware about 622. We're looking at McCool at 641, 646 there. Bowie's Chapel, as that kind of heads toward the south and east. And our storms near Winona have all kind of diminished a little bit more. They're all kind of in diminishing phase. And yeah, no lightning strikes out of that. So just some lingering lighter variety rainfall. We'll track that again southeast as well. Speed again, we're looking at about 15, we'll say 18 miles per hour. And Blackhawk, about 645 for you. So that kind of heads generally in your direction. We've been watching the storms near the Mississippi-Alabama state line, kind of waiting on a couple of these boundaries to come together. And a few of those have developed along one of those near Reform and into Pickens County. So I'm going to see if we can zoom this right on in there. These are pretty small at this time. I mean, honestly, so small that no guarantees that even makes it all the way to Reform. It's just now starting to put down some of its rainfall. Not going to be, again, terribly impressive on that. But I did want to just kind of get a look at that. A lot stronger with the storms out to the east, out to the south. And some of these near Brent are kind of expanding in. So it's not impossible. We have a few more isolated thunderstorms this evening. Maybe not quite as strong as what we had last night. Certainly the strongest around the state, down in the southern part of state at this point in time. So kind of bringing it back here as we, again, looking at that rolling fork camera a moment ago, let's look in more detail at the jet stream. And we talked about this a little bit ago, and you heard Gabe mention the weakness during our 5 o'clock broadcast, and also this one as well. This has got a lot of stuff going on in it. So what are we looking at here? I put on too many lines, enough that my consultant in the past would just absolutely yelled at me on this. But what I wanted to show you is high pressure out to the west of us, right? And you can kind of see the center of that and then all these rings that go around it. They give us lines of equal pressure, right? And so then we have another one of those back out here to the east. And so we're kind of in this zone. We see how it looks kind of odd here for Alabama, stretching down toward the coast. This is that weakness in what is overall just a big ridge. So again, if I were to look on the really wide scale, this is all one ridge and the heat dome that we have had, but it's right here in the middle, starting to split somewhat. And because of that split, that's the reason why we have had a few more thunderstorms. That split continues. It's going to allow our front to slide in here and try to give us a more reasonable amount of heat, meaning we're still going to be hot. We're just not going to be as hot. I went ahead and kick that back to a more reasonable amount of lines as well, so we can kind of walk through what we have here. So going forward over the next few hours, again, the next couple of days, you'll notice by tonight, you still have this kind of zone, sort of a trough to the north, and you can actually kind of see it better to the south here almost. And this is all kind of connected, that zone where we have just enough lift to continue to try to produce some of these showers and thunderstorms. So as we go into tomorrow, again, you can kind of see there's this area here stretching there from Charlotte back across much of the south and into Texas, where we still have that elongated trough, and again, some of those isolated showers as a result. We go towards Saturday. The primary chance for rainfall, as you can see with all of our indications here, that mid-level lift, as well as the strong jet streams. They're all other places but over top of us. But we have just enough of a northerly component in this jet stream to allow that slightly cooler air to settle in, the thing that a lot of folks have been hoping for. That's why your weekend is going to be a little bit cooler, because the ridge has largely migrated out to the west of us, and the eastern part is broken down to a certain extent as well. So both those things working in our favor. But if you're looking for more meaningful moisture, one thing you'll note kind of looking at this, we don't have a lot of the green. I have a couple different things layered on top here. I'll have the jet stream, which as you can see is more of a northwest flow pattern. And this kind of gets into sort of what Gabe was talking about on the Futurecast on our strike model there. He's like, I was looking at the thing coming from north and west. I'm not real sure. Okay, so by the latter part of the weekend, do you see this kind of reddish, yellowish, purple thing you have up there, that mid-level lift? Because we get into this northwest flow pattern, you have these little ripples, that increases the likelihood that maybe you have a sustained complex of storms that could get a little closer to us. Now, you'll notice that kind of dumps that down closer to us on Monday. So I don't know that we have all the components in place for this, but when this northwest flow kind of happens, sometimes you get these complexes of thunderstorms that come into the area. So I would say low confidence on that happening at this point, but the pattern aloft at least kind of lends itself to something like that, potentially happening sometime in the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday time period of next week. So we haven't had a lot of stronger thunderstorms lately. The pattern looking more like that. And then the jet stream starts to break down and we start to have a couple waves of moisture coming in. And by the extended forecast there, that could enhance some of the rain chances just a little bit. So that's kind of your long-term analysis here on Mississippi Live Weather. One of the things I don't want to jump too far past is this, that our precipitation is running a bit below normal. New drought monitor will come out tomorrow, and it does look like we are probably going to see an expansion of drought conditions across parts of the southeast, including our area, unfortunately, because that's what's happened. We've had, 3 significant droughts the last 3 falls in a row. Still got a bit of summer to go, obviously, but hopefully we're not heading that direction. More than a decent chance we could be. So thank you so much for joining us on Mississippi Live Weather at 6 o'clock here. I don't have my my comments here pulled up, and I'm just curious to see. Give me a second to hit refresh. Caleb, Gabe, anything interesting in there people are asking about?
No, not really. Everyone's just staying out there watching you.
Oh, well, we appreciate y'all for watching us, and of course the way to watch us is apparently we don't have full screen there at the end. So I skipped right past. It's at the very end. You moved it to the very end. That's what happens when you have things auto set to run. But you know what the beauty is? You get an F key and force over that. You can do that when you're in charge, right? Thank you so much for downloading the app. We keep talking about that. Send in your weather pictures for tonight. I'm going to tell you right now, Gabe loves nothing more than showing those. Am I wrong?
You are not wrong.
His favorite part of this is showing your weather pictures, honestly. And I'd like to keep Gabe employed here. So, I know that's a shameless plug for you. But, send in your weather pictures this evening, because one of the cool things about tonight is that we have what we call convective debris out of some of these clouds out there. I'm going to go back to analysis mode for just a second. And I'm going to go back over and show a couple of these cameras for a moment. Because one of the things I've kind of noticed as some of these cameras is that, and I want to see whether or not this one, see that one's fairly clear. But a few of these cameras, we've had some pretty cool shots there where we have some high and thin, right there, some cirrus clouds looking back toward the west. This is our MDOT camera there in the Oxford area. So I point that out to say that a lot of times, I had someone today that was asking about this last night. They're like, I went outside and it was just pink everywhere. That cirrus, that high thin blow off from the thunderstorms, basically we'll call the debris, the leftover convective cloud cover after the thunderstorms completely collapsed. Those do a great job of capturing those longest wavelengths, those red wavelengths, and they make for some really, really pretty sunsets. So obviously, send in your weather pictures. Gabe will love to show you how those for you tonight at 10 o'clock. And obviously, stay cool. Things are fairly rough out there as far as heat is concerned. Let's make some smart decisions. You can see even in Oxford, as of this hour, we're sitting at 100 degrees, and obviously it's a hot evening. So let's make smart choices. And luckily, as we get into this upcoming weekend, things get a lot more manageable. So again, thank you for joining us for Mississippi Live Weather at 6 o'clock. We will see you coming up tonight at 10 for the very latest on your weather here across North Mississippi.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. We knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.